I just sent it again. There you
Yay!
are. Yay!
Okay.
Oh, good old tech. I'm glad you're here.
Like, I can hear you, I can see you, but I get no request.
Uh,
Okay,
yeah. All right. But now, here we are.
here we
I
are.
know we are going to act as if all is well because that's part of manifesting, right?
Hmm.
So,
Mercury is officially out of retrograde, so we should
well,
be
thank the
prepared.
Lord for that. Is that why I was having so many tech problems?
Probably.
What the frig, dude? I don't know a whole lot about
It affects communication,
astrology and
so
stuff.
yeah,
Makes sense.
yeah.
Very good. Well, so I was prepping. You probably heard about what we're talking about today. So you had actually suggested that we talk about this
Yes.
because I don't know, is it your experience that I'm waving to people? Hi, everyone. Good to see you. This is Maria and Andrea hanging out
Hey.
IG Live today. Yay. So did something come up recently where you were like, hey, maybe we need to talk about this and dispel some myths and
Yeah, I just was sort of noticing a theme that, like most of my clients are very, type A, get her done. Like, I want to do it the best I can. And they were trying to gold star, be the best at law of attraction and manifesting.
yes,
And
do all the things.
while I get it, that's kind of, the antithesis of what we're trying to do. And I think sometimes, I mean, our brains just overcomplicate everything as it is. So I think there's a lot of, even though there's a lot of nuance to law of attraction, and things that people aren't necessarily aware of, I also think it's simpler than people think it is. And so when we run into a roadblock, or where we're like, I'm trying the thing and I'm trying to
Yeah.
manifest and it's not working, like sometimes there are just some subtle tweaks that we can make, and a lot of times we feel like, but I feel like I'm doing that already. And so I kind of wanted to just like have people ask their questions and see if we can maybe demystify it a little bit for
Yeah.
them, because I just see it like it's such a common thread, in a lot of my private clients. So I'm sure, the fertility community in general, like those of you guys who are open, which if you're here, you are,
Yeah.
because if you know either Maria or myself, you are open to this. So
Yep.
I just think there's some tweaks or maybe some reframing that we could help people with, between the two of us. So
I think so. I actually had someone message me on Instagram yesterday about, things along this line. And she's like, man, I hope I don't sound crazy. And I'm like, not with me.
it
No.
would take a lot for us to think it sounds crazy. Yeah.
It would take a whole lot. So yeah, if folks are watching and you have a question about manifesting, and certainly around, in general manifesting, but baby manifesting obviously is a big deal in this community, right? I'm waving to everybody. Hi, thanks for joining. And if you have a question, just type, if you can, in all caps, type the word question and then your question, so that way we're flagged a little bit better and we can answer what you have to say.
Mm-hmm. And I have some of my people who weren't going to be on the live because of various
Yes.
reasons. I have some questions too. So if
Yes.
we can get into that also.
Perfect. Yeah. So actually we can start with that if you'd like, because I don't see any questions on the live yet. So
Sure. Yeah.
ask away some of the
Okay.
things people have asked.
All right. So
this is water, by the way, not vodka. Election stuff is, election stuff is crazy.
Oh God, tell me about it. It's been like one giant tower card for those of you who are familiar with tarot. Okay, so this person says, how do we stay positive even when we're having physical indications that things are not going right, i.e. period coming, cramping? So how do we stay positive even though we're getting those?
Yeah. Ooh, that's a good question. Is there anything off the top of your head that pops in when you read that question?
Well, I mean, for me, I get that question a lot, actually.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times when we're introduced to law of attraction and manifesting, we think we have to be positive all the time. And we kind of, you're not a robot.
Nope.
So you can't be positive all the time. You're wearing a human suit. That being said, a lot of times, because early pregnancy symptoms are like virtually identical to period symptoms, even though, yes, you've been getting your period for a long time, however many years you've been trying, you don't actually know, so I find that it's best to not try to make yourself be positive and be like, no, this is the month.
Force the positive.
Yeah, when you're not actually feeling that, because that's actually the worst thing to do.
Yes.
Is to try to push yourself to feel a way that you don't. So if you can get to a neutral place and say, you know what, I don't actually know. This is the way I'm feeling, and here's why I'm okay if it's not this month. Because we want to address that fight or flight brain part of you that's like,
yep.
oh my God, this has to be the month. I'm running out of time. This has to be it. What if it's not it?
Yep.
So we have to go, you know what, if it's not this month, why am I okay? Why will I be okay? Level that out first, and then be like, you know what? I don't actually know. And when you get into that neutral place, then it's easier. Like I tell people, it's easier to go from neutral to drive than from reverse to drive.
Yes.
Because when we're trying to be positive, think about that from a law of attraction perspective. If I'm trying to be positive, it means I'm not. So I'm trying because I'm not. So I'm trying because I'm not. So I'm actually just fighting myself. So if you can get to neutral, I think that's.
Yes.
Yeah. That's. What do you think?
When I'm in complete alignment with what you have to say. There's one thing that's popping in my head right as you're talking before I get on to the next thought, is that people might think that manifesting is this, esoteric, like out there thing. There's a lot of groundedness. Here you are talking about you're talking about like brain science and like really mindset, which is grounded in psychology. This is not this out there, craziness. And I have a great example today.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to talk about when you mentioned the word positive, like how do I stay positive, is one of my favorite quotes always comes up from Deepak Chopra. He says, even a positive mind is a turbulent mind. So when we are just, whether we're in the negative or in the positive, our thoughts are going like boop, 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 constantly moving. That is absolutely not helpful for anybody, but certainly in the fertility world. What you want to do is to be able to find that place of neutrality or stillness, right? Because that engages the parasympathetic nervous system. Here's the grounded part.
Right.
Engages the parasympathetic nervous system so that your body can settle and just be how it is. However your future is 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 3 days, a month from now, 6 months from now. You don't have to live there. You can live right now in this space of stillness and just experience what you're experiencing.
Right.
So,
yeah. And to be okay with that, we're so uncomfortable feeling uncomfortable as humans that we want to just like whack-a-mole the bad.
Oh my God.
Thing,
Get me out of here.
And honestly, the best thing you can do is to feel how you actually feel about it and say, okay, so I'm feeling hopeless right now. So, okay, hopeless. What are you trying to show me? Why is this here? What is my brain making this mean? Why might that not be true? But most of us are not present, like you said, most of the time. We're either in shoulda, coulda, woulda of the past or the what if of the future. So we're sort of straddling the present, and we can't do anything from past or future. We can only shift things when we're present. So bringing it back to the present moment. Why are you okay right now? Is a great place to start, and to be okay with the fact that you're having whatever emotion it is, sad, hopeless, angry. Allow that to happen. It's better to let it erupt and deal with it than try to constantly keep a lid on it, because you're actually sending way more energy to the thing you don't want when you're trying to keep a lid on it.
Which means you'll get more of that.
Right. Get more of the thing you don't want. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Also, and the idea when you had mentioned that you're trying to force the positive, I'm going to force being positive, implies to the universe that you don't have that. You
Right.
know, I need to
Right.
have it, so I'm forcing it. That implies to the universe that you don't have the positivity or the
Yeah.
calmness or the stillness, and so the universe is like, all right, friggin' A, I'll send you more angst. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and,
And so you get
yeah,
more
and that's so
angst.
common for like when you're all my clients are looking for spotting. Like, oh, like I'm checking because they don't want spotting, but they're checking because they don't want spotting. But you're checking. So the universe is
Yes.
hearing, I'm looking for spotting, I'm looking for spotting, I'm looking for spotting. All right,
Okay.
here you go,
Oh,
you know.
oh.
So it's tricky because the universe doesn't hear the don't want part. It's
Right.
it's hearing the period,
Want
period,
that.
period, or want. Yeah, exactly. It's rewiring. You know, we have to really break it down. And like I tell my clients, I know sometimes they want to smack me because I'm getting really nitpicky about how they're, you know, when they say, well, I say, where are you in your cycle? And they're like, well, I'm supposed to get my period next week. Don't say that. Like, don't say I'm supposed to get my period next week. I'll be testing next week. The end of my cycle, whatever that is next week.
Right.
Fine. But I'm getting my period next week. So a lot of people who have like the apps and stuff like that, like they're helpful to an extent. But when
Mhm.
you see, oh, period next Thursday, period next Thursday,
Right.
it gets in your head, you know?
It really does. And I don't know that people understand the power of words. And I know we say, oh, words are, words mean a lot. They actually have a resonance in our body, in our energy field, everything. I once did a session with somebody where we took um, pens or markers and we wrote words on ourselves. There's a bunch of research on this around, actually from Dr. Emoto, his name is Emoto, and water crystals and how
Oh yeah,
words are
yeah. I've seen that.
powerful.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so important to have those words because there's a resonance to them. Hi, Fertility Success Code. We're grateful that you're here too. I just wanted to say that. Oh, question just popped in. How come then that universe doesn't hear I'm looking for pregnancy when we keep checking pregnancy tests? Ah, that's a good question. Right. What happens though when you're checking pregnancy tests? Right? What's happening in
What's
your
your
energy field? What's
yeah,
your
exactly.
intention there? Is it, oh my God, is it going to be negative? Is it going to be negative? Is it going to be negative? Right? Or is it, it's completely neutral? I'm just going to view what's happening right now. Or is it, it's going to be positive? It's so going to be positive. Um, it kind of depends on where you are when you, I remember when I was reaching for, I was a staunch non-POASer for a long time, but there were times when I was very angsty, continually testing over and 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 over again, expecting a negative for sure.
Mm.
Um, but the point is, there wasn't that energetic space of just being with what shows up. It's very difficult, mind you, extremely difficult to do that.
Yeah.
It's just like any muscle, though. The more that you practice it, the more that you can touch that stillness and that place of, from a psychological perspective, I would say neutrality.
Yeah.
Um, but
And
I like to say stillness.
the
Yeah.
other thing too is that, you know, she just mentioned it, like it's happy. There's the conscious part of you that really the soul part of you, the intuitive part of you that knows that you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
That part of you can see that this could be a positive test. The problem is we're not addressing the subtext of energy, which
Yes.
is I've had 67 periods before this one. And the brain, you have all these neural pathways on autopilot now, where the
Mm-hmm.
brain is like, we do the thing, we have the sex, we get the period, we get pissed off, we regroup, we
Mm-hmm.
ovulate, we do the thing. So
Mm-hmm.
it's already on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you have to also address that part of you that doesn't believe that you can do this.
Yeah.
It is a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde thing because the intuitive part of you really does believe it. But most people, not even most, all people,
Mm-hmm.
you can only see what you can see, and
Yes.
we're not always aware of how that subtext of energy is coming through. And
Yeah.
it is from lack. The indication that it's coming from lack is because you're not getting what you want. So
Yeah.
if you're not a match to it, there are just some tweaks that need to be made. But we get so hooked in a pattern that sometimes it's hard to get yourself out of it. So you need sometimes an outside perspective, or to read something, or to have something kind of click for you to get,
Mm-hmm.
or just even the awareness that you're doing it. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times we think we're being positive when we're actually not, when it's actually
Yeah.
coming from need. And so much of this baby journey,
Mm-hmm.
we think of the baby from lack.
We
I don't
do.
have it yet. What if I don't get it? It's been 5 years. That's all running under the surface, and that has to be addressed in some way.
Yep. Yeah, it absolutely does. Actually, and here's where the grounded piece comes in with manifesting. Have you heard of heart math?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, yay! It's being spread out. Of course, you and I are on the same network, but heart math, the Heart Math Institute. I highly suggest everybody watching right now go check out the Heart Math Institute. They have a ton of research on the heart brain and how it absolutely is connected to the brain and the gut brain. And it sends out extremely strong energy from the heart center. They've actually been able to measure this up to 3 feet outside of the body.
Wow.
So the idea is, they postulate it extends much farther. This is the aura or the energetic field around the person. This is an actual thing. So, but what they do is they're able to measure the resonance in that field. And I have actually the biofeedback software on my
Mm-hmm.
computer. It's just biofeedback, but it's the energy around the body. It's all electricity, right? That's what we are, energy and electricity. So, but they're actually, the Heart Math Institute has done research studies around measuring this energetic field around us. Now, what they say is that the energy that you put out, especially the energy that's emanating from your heart, and what comes from your heart, right? Your intuition, your guidance, your inner knowing, the energy that you put out into your field from your heart actually affects the people around you, the air around you, the energetic field around you. And if it extends further out, as far as they postulate it does, this is where manifesting comes in. It's really important. And so when you're thinking, I don't have that thing, it means generally that you're feeling, I don't have the thing that I want. That's the energy that's put out into this ether. And that is what's, the universe is very generous. Like, absolutely, I'll give you whatever it is that you're asking for. And so this is where the confusion and the, difficulty comes, is that we're like, but I want that thing. And I keep telling the universe I want that thing. And the universe is like, yeah, you want it. Therefore, you don't have it. So I'm going to send you more of the don't have. Sorry.
Well, it's also too, watching, I mean, my clients are sick of me saying this, but hope is kind of a dirty word when it comes to manifesting, because hope is, please, thing in the sky, be nice to me this month. Mm-hmm. There's no capability there. There's no power there whatsoever. I'm at the mercy of something I can't see or bend. And so I keep being a match to not being capable of receiving the thing that I want. So I think a lot of times when people think they're being positive, they're like, oh, this is gonna be it. But it's coming from hope, not from possibility. And that's the word that I would
possibility, yes,
you to use instead of hope. Because I get it. I mean, this is me getting into semantics again, but it's an important distinction, because possibility is, you know what? I don't know. It could. I did ovulate. I had sex. It could. At least if you can get there, then you can allow yourself to feel into those things that you're really looking forward to. If you step outside of your story of why it might not happen and your fear, you can be in that place of, I'm so looking forward to XYZ.
Yes.
Then you can legitimately feel those things and legitimately become a match law of attraction wise to those things, you know, but it has to be from a place of feeling it, not thinking it, not being like,
That
okay,
is,
I did my fertility mantra today. I did my fertility meditation today.
checking off the list. Yes.
You can't do that. This
That's
is
so me.
what's so hard. It's so hard for those of us who are type A to not check it off a list, but you have to feel it. And that's what most people are not doing at this point. And they're doing it from a place of lack without realizing it.
Right. And desperation, really, like, okay, Maria and Andrea said that I need to do the things. So I'm going to make the list and I'm going to do the things. But WTF, that's not happening. So there's this desperation piece too.
Yeah.
IVF a good feeling. I love that name. Asks a question: how can I write the subtext when I'm not meditating? I feel that's the only time I'm aware of my subconscious. Ooh, lovely question. You want to tackle that one?
From my perspective, sure.
Yes, of course, always.
I think you can't, you know, so two things. One, if that's when you're aware of your subconscious, great. Be open to your meditation not looking like what it normally does and saying, okay, thank you for that, brain. Thank you for that awareness. I'm going to write that down and I'm going to address it later and then go back in to your thing so that we're being present. Because a lot of times, again, when we're trying to be positive and be good little law of attraction students, we go, no, brain, no, don't think that. But like I always say to my clients, if I tell you not to think of a pink elephant,
instantly,
what did you just
pink
think
elephant?
You know, so you can't be like, oh no, I shouldn't think that. You are thinking that, and frankly, we want to know that. We want to know what the brain is having a nightmare about. You know, so take that time when you do have that awareness. But otherwise, I would say there are certain points in our cycle where we're all very aware of certain feelings. When we're ovulating, are we going to ovulate? Did we have sex? Did we do it enough? And then certainly the 4th week of your cycle, that's when we notice we go into whatever fear or pattern or whatever. So being present during those important times of your cycle and almost interview whatever that feeling is. I always say to think of your brain as, and when I say brain, I mean the ego, fight or flight, freaking out part of your brain. Interview your brain as if it's a separate person from you and be like, okay, brain, we're having a hard time. What are we making this mean? Why might this not actually be true? And what's a thought that feels better? Let's go over here. Like I tell people to think of, you know, the toddler, you know, because your brain never really evolves beyond toddler status. And so like if you had a toddler, I tell people this all the time, you would never just, and they had a nightmare, you'd never knock on the wall and be like, shut up.
Yeah.
Stop
having nightmares.
Right. Stop it. You would go in and be like, see, there's no monsters. Here's a story. Here's some milk. Dad and I are in the next room. Then the kid will go back to sleep, you know? So our brains are the same way. We can't just be like, don't think that. Just be positive. Your brain is like, we're freaking the fuck out here. Like we need some help. You know? And so it's best if you listen to whatever that is. And how might I explain that that's not true to the brain and pivot? But people pivot too soon. And that's the problem. They don't like take the time to acknowledge why is my brain upset? Why is it hard time? You know? So either within your meditation or at points when you notice you're actually charged, take that time and interview your brain as if it's a separate person from you, because it kind of is.
Yes.
You know?
This is totally related to what you were talking about in terms of being still for a minute, and I mentioned stillness too, that you have to feel that for a while. You have to feel the gross. And it's completely uncomfortable and worth it, because when you access your subconscious during meditation, it's a fabulous thing. Your subconscious is still running when you're conscious, when you're in beta brainwave state. It's still running. So when you do these things consciously, you're teaching your subconscious. When you're meditating, you're teaching your subconscious. What ends up happening is that you are retraining your subconscious here to act as if, to believe as if.
Yep.
And it's an amazing, beautiful thing when you see this in action. I've had people email me like, oh my, I can't, what, how did, what? And I'm like, because you're doing the freaking work, man.
Yeah.
Because you're doing the work.
And it's ugly. It is ugly.
Yes.
It's not linear. It's uncomfortable. But the important thing is that you live through it. Once it washes over you and you're like, okay, like I'm alive still. Or like after you've had a really good cry, you know, if you notice you're super drained, but you're also super present. You're like, okay,
you are.
that's what I'm going to do. But it's because you've let it all out, you know.
That's right. And then you go to sleep.
Right.
I should mention though, this doesn't always have to be horrible. There's a game that I like to talk to people about to play called the Remember When game. This is especially fun with a partner, that you sit together and you remember when you were going through that fertility journey. Remember that remember that cycle, that last cycle that we just felt so like without hope and we just were in this dark place. And now look. Yeah. Now look at us. We have our beautiful baby boy, or we have our twins, or we have our, you know, whatever you want that picture to look like. Here we are in our garden, or here we are in New York City, or here we are. Really act as if that's happening and feel what that feels like inside. Yeah. That is what you're going for. That is what changes this heart math vibration out into the universe and calls into you what you want to have called into you. It's such a fun game. People have a lot of good times with that. I do it all the time.
It gets you into that more of that claiming, deciding energy. Like I have my clients doing it's going to be awesome when list.
Yes.
And feeling into that, like, you know, we're not saying, you know, so when we're manifesting the how, when, and where this happens, it's not your job. Unfortunately,
right.
We want the when to be our job. It's not. How, when, and where is the universe / God / whatever your higher power thing is. The what, though, is you. What would light you up? What makes you feel? What are you so excited for? Yes. Yeah. And so when you're thinking or feeling into, it's going to be awesome when I see that positive sign. It's going to be awesome when I get to tell my husband. And you're legitimately feeling that. We're sort of tricking the brain because the brain can't tell if something is happening to you right now,
right?
If it did happen or if it might happen. So from a negative perspective, that's why we want to look at the limiting beliefs, because you're in the past or the future, but your brain is going, oh God, we're under attack now. So cortisol, adrenaline, you know, all that stuff that happens now that shuts your uterus off. Yes. But we can use it for good in this case, where the brain can't tell that thing is not happening right now, because we're feeling it. And we're getting that vibration, so the brain can't tell it's not happening, but we have just become a match to it anyway.
That's right. An energetic match.
The best thing you can do is feel, you know, what you want. That gives you a chance of becoming a match to what you want.
Yes. And this comes out literally when you begin practicing this, when you begin becoming an energetic match, and that means your feelings, what it feels like to be in that state of my baby's here, my family's complete, whatever the words are and the images that you might use, not nearly as important as the feelings. Right. But this comes in absolute literal ways. So I emailed you a story last night. I just want to like share that this is incredible. So I, about a week ago, was thinking, I really want to join like a women's spirit circle. I was looking for something locally, and there's nothing really that's a match for me. And I'm thinking, geez, maybe I should just like create something. And so I'm just thinking this and feeling it. Oh, you know, and I've been doing this for 10 years. Okay. So I kind of just know I know how to feel my way through this now. So I'm feeling what it would feel like to be, you know, part of a women's circle and maybe creating one. And I'm walking home from work a couple nights ago. My commute is a walk across a river on a bridge. And on this bridge, just leaning up against the railing, no one else around, is this book. And it might be showing up backwards. Sacred Circles, a guide to creating your own women's spirituality circle. I swear to God, this is,
Like, what are the odds?
you can't make this shit up, right? Like, you just can't. It comes out in literal ways. So I bring this home and I'm like, hon, another one of my manifesting things happened. And he's like, yeah, it was just sitting there on the bridge. I'm like, yeah. So he's like, can you like wipe it down? Because you don't know where it's been.
It could have the Rona.
He's used to my like, manifest it again, manifest it again,
Yeah.
manifest it again. And it's just like how it is.
And the thing is too, you know, we have these ideas about, okay, well, I can manifest this, but that is different, you know. And I tell people, I use a lot of food analogies for some reason, but I tell people, like, you know, money might be green frosting and fertility might be blue frosting and relationships might be red frosting, but it's all frosting. You can't be like, blue frosting is gross. No, it's not. It literally tastes the same as the other frostings. It's just a different color. But what happens is when we put so much weight on it and be like, blue is gross, blue is gross, blue is gross. Pause.
Sorry,
it becomes heavier. It becomes, you know, we put more weight on it, so it becomes heavier. But it's not that it is. So manifesting, finding a, you know, a $10 bill or a job or a baby or a book or whatever, it's all the same energetically. It's just that we put this weight on it and think,
yes,
harder, because it's been harder. And that's what the brain says, but it's been 5 years.
Proof that it's hard because it's been,
Right. And that's what the brain does. It looks for all these, the past evidence, but what we have to do energetically in that case is draw a line in the sand and say, yeah, everything up until now has been what it's been. And that's okay. You know, but going forward, it doesn't need to be. And I don't know how I'm going to shift that, but it's okay. And I don't have to know how I'm going to do that, you know, but I could be open to it being different. If you can get to that neutral place, that's what's important.
That's right. And I'm sorry for everyone listening to my dog barking in the background because I'm home. Thank you, COVID. Yeah, I like to use the analogy that Wayne Dyer uses, by the way. Yes, there's going to be a recording that you can watch later. There is an analogy of, and I just did a podcast on this, what's driving your fertility journey. Wayne Dyer uses the analogy of the wake driving the boat, which makes zero sense. The boat is driving the boat. The wake doesn't drive the boat. The wake's in the past, man. But here we are living as if the wake drives our boat.
Right. Yeah.
No.
That's a great analogy.
The wave's back there, man. You're driving your boat. You choose where you go. You choose where your destination is. So yeah, when you have that mindset, the wake's back there and there's a bunch of shit back there that I didn't want to have happen, but I am driving the boat. I steer this. I choose where to go. That helps you feel much more empowered, much more in control, and much more aware of possibility for your future because you're not thinking about the damn wake back there.
Right.
So yeah, it's a mindset shift and an energetic shift that is so useful in manifesting. Just practice. And
it's not delusional to think that things could be different because your brain is like, listen, lady, it's been 5 years. We're not all of a sudden going to become more fertile in 6 months. You know, the brain is really going to try to shoot all of this stuff down. But we really have to like get as neutral as possible because you don't know. I tell my clients all that when I do the mindset work, the only thing you can be 1,000% sure of that's going to happen is that you're going to die at some point.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. Like everything else is up for debate, you know? So if you could get into that, you know what? I don't know. Let's see place. And that can be fun. It can be so fun. And at least spend the time until you know, because that's all we're afraid of is the unknown, you know? So until we know the unknown, let's spend it in a way that feels better to us, which is thinking about what we'd love to see. Not, oh my God, am I going to lose my chance? Am I going to lose my chance? Because then the whole journey has sucked, you know, and at least we're choosing to feel good, which gives us an opportunity to become an energetic match to the thing we want. Yeah. No, it's not wasted. It's not delusional to shift to that, you know? No. And, you know, having those initial thoughts of, but
It's completely fine. You've been,
Yeah.
if you've dealt with fertility issues, you've dealt with trauma brain, and trauma brain is just trying to keep you safe.
Yep.
So that means, just like you said earlier, Andrea, it's you thank your brain for trying to keep you safe.
Yep.
And you say, I don't need you right now, though. I appreciate you. Love, so much love to you, trauma brain. I'm teaching you that I am actually safe.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna go over here right now. You just can go to the side,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll call you when I need you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah. Do you have another question that you'd like to read from your
Yeah.
folks?
Mm-hmm. Just give me a second. Screen. Let's see. What to do when the mind and heart are in conflict? Who rules and why?
Oh, so good. Well, we already talked about heart math, heart rules.
Mm-hmm. Well, the brain is used to being in charge.
Totally.
And all those thoughts, am I doing enough? Should I be doing more? Like all of that survival, fight or flight part of you, that's the autopilot. But you can manually override it when you're tuned in to your heart, which is more powerful. We're just not used to using it. That's all. We're just like not taught that,
Right. And the heart, this is from the Heart Math Institute. Again, for folks just tuning in, check out the Heart Math Institute for actual research science for the last couple of decades on the heart brain. The heart actually communicates to the brain 4 times more than the brain communicates to the heart. It's far more powerful. So the more that you can tune into your heart and connect there in that space, I literally touch my heart space to get physically into my heart.
Yeah, because it pulls you out of your head.
It does.
That's where we drive around from, is from here. So having physical, whether that's putting your hand on, or if you have stones that you like to use, or anything like that, that pulls you out of here and gets you connected to this amazingly powerful tool, like that can override everything,
It can. And I tend to be very research minded and very spiritual, esoteric. So it's got both things. So if you are very research minded too, I absolutely suggest checking out heartmath.com or .org, and doing some of they have a lot of free resources on there too. It's beautiful. So I recommend checking them out.
Yeah. And I think it's important too, that because most of us, especially, running from the type A end of things, we're very much like in our heads, in our minds all the time. Like we're about do.
Yeah.
And this process really is more about being versus doing. So it's kind of a make under of our usual habits,
Oh, yes.
And when we're operating from the brain, from the ego, fight or flight part, we never feel safe, because should we have done this or should we have done this? There's always like buyer's remorse. Is this enough? Oh shit, did I make the right decision? Did I bet on the wrong horse? You're never going to feel safe. But when you're operating from that heart perspective, then you're like, I'm fine, and here's why. And I don't like, there isn't that worry or that urgency there.
Far less urgency, because you just know.
Right.
It's an instant knowing. We talked about on a podcast, you were so kind to join me on my podcast. We talked about about intuition and how it just instantly knows. And so there's a settling that comes with that. You don't have to do your graphs and charts and color coded things.
Right.
You have an instant knowing. Even, this is the hard part, even when others, especially professionals, are telling you otherwise.
Yeah.
And that's pretty hard.
It is. It is hard when everybody else is telling you that you can't, and you're like, but I can.
But my heart is telling me, and the Heart Math Institute.
Right. It can. Yeah. But that goes back to what you were saying about I use the analogy of driving the bus, but you said with the boat. You have to be driving it, and you can let whoever you want on the bus or the boat, whatever.
Yes.
You can let IVF on the bus. You can let one of us on the bus, a supplement on the bus, but you're driving the bus. Like it has to be, I am going to Babyland and I can use things to help me, but I can't run and catch the IVF bus or the supplement bus. I can't hope to get on those buses, you know? And if there's urgency there, that is an indication that you're not in your intuition. Because intuition is never urgent. It's like, yep or no.
That's it.
That's it. If you're like, oh my God, it's a limiting,
should I
opt into this class? Then it's a no, frankly.
That's right. That's a really good point, Andrea. Then that's a no. Yes.
If you're urgent about it,
should I don't know. Should I? That's a no. Yes. Perfect.
Yeah. So it's got to be like, this feels best for me. And when you're in that heart energy that we were talking about, then you're like, you know what? This person or this food or this whatever, that feels good for me. I'm going to do that. Then you feel safer. Then the brain can be like, oh, she's got it. We actually feel safe. So I can back up a little bit. I don't have to jump in there. And, you know, and the brain will start to freak out less, you know.
She's got it. And you do got it, y'all. You got it.
And you can't, as long as somebody said hard to turn the brain off.
Yes.
You can't. FYI, you can't turn it off.
We're meant to think.
As long as you're a functioning member of society, you can't turn your brain off. You can quiet it and you can manual override it. And the best way to do that is like what I was saying about the brain having a nightmare. Do it from a place of compassion where you're like, brain, I'm sorry, we're having a hard time right now. We're feeling pretty hopeless right now. I get that. And here's why we might be okay. And here's a thought that feels better. So that when you're coming at it from compassion, when you're addressing the brain, compassion is under the umbrella of love, which
it is
source energy to an emotion. That's what it
love.
is.
Yep.
So you become a match where by mothering your brain, instead of being like, fucking brain, shut up, you know, because then you're in resistance. You're just fighting that thing now. So, and we want to, you know, it's been a hard journey. We want to be able to comfort ourselves. And you know what? This has been hard. It's okay if I'm upset. And I also don't need to stay here, you know, finding the relief in that is really important. You know?
Yes. So much. I often say, treat yourself like you would treat your baby, just as you mentioned before, right?
Yeah.
Toddler having a nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah.
A question. I've heard you guys answer the questions, when will my baby come? I get asked that every day. I know you do too. And answer that there are infinite possibilities at any given time. Can you guys talk about that more? Oh, heck yeah. It's frustrating to hear that. Well, you know, I can't tell you when or how.
July.
I know. It's really frustrating, I know, to hear that. So, okay, this is where I tend to put on my quantum physical nerdiness. So I'm gonna.
Yep, that's where I was gonna go with it.
I'll dial it back a little bit, though. Okay, so there was and there is ongoing research from the quantum physical realm about this notion of possibility. And basically what researchers found is that things can be, gosh, how can I boil this down without getting totally marred up in the quantum physical thing? Basically, when we attend to something, that's when it becomes solid, for lack of a better word. Before that, before we intend or attend to anything, it's all waves. It's all in this realm of possibility. So even in the quantum physical realm, they talk about, you know, things actually not, like I'm not in my office right now. If you want to get really crazy, quantum physicists would say, well, then your office doesn't exist right now. It doesn't exist until you're observing it, until you're actually there, physically there. So that's where they talk about this place of infinite possibility, because especially when this is very relevant in the fertility world, because when you're attending to the not having the thing that you want, that's the possibility that becomes solid, that becomes boom, here it is. When you attend to the possibility of baby coming, and not needing it to be a certain path. Well, first I do this treatment, and if that one doesn't work, then this one, and if this doesn't work, then we do this, and blah, 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 blah. And it's exactly how you want it to be. When you're not there, you're just thinking, you're acting as if and living the feelings as if your thing, your baby, is already here. Then the universe pulls in all those possibilities and makes them solid for you. Boom. Now you're on that right track. So again, this is really difficult to explain without getting into that deep physical or quantum physical realm. But that's basically what we mean by talking about all these infinite possibilities for our future and attending to the one that you would like, meaning the end result, living from the end. This is my end result that I want, feeling all the feelings of what that would be like at your end. Then the universe plucks from all these possibilities and creates this solid path for you. And you just follow the path. You do need to do the work though. You do need to pay attention. You do need to, like when I was moving into the adoption world and not knowing where we were going to go in terms of that path. And I was just open. Okay, universe, show me what's next. I'm on the subway in New York City and there's an ad for an adoption agency. And I called them and voila, that was how it worked out. So you do have to pay attention. So I say first pay intention and then pay attention. So you're setting your intention for your end result and then paying attention to what the universe is saying to do next.
Yeah. The other thing too with the quantum of it all is that so there's the idea that there are infinite possibilities around any given situation. The reason we keep attracting the same thing is that we have kind of blinders on about what we can expect, whether that's based on our own experience or society or our friends. We have very limited ideas about what's possible. And I would recommend, if you haven't read You Are the Placebo by Joe Dispenza.
Oh, such a good one.
Yes, because that will break it down a little more concisely than I'm doing right now. But
it's complicated stuff.
It is, and the idea is that you can't create an unknown, which is the baby, because you don't have it right now. You can't create an unknown from a known situation. So known meaning my past experience and everything I know, that's not a match to the baby. So we have to get ourselves into this, you know what? That's why I was saying earlier, you know what? I don't know that it couldn't be this month. I don't have to say it's gonna be, this is it. But I don't know. Like, open up that gate of possibility to be in that unknown. And that's why we say too, to feel the discomfort of whatever emotion you're feeling, because that scrambles your brain enough and you're in it like, I don't know what I'm doing. That's honestly good. That's for us as practitioners. We're like, good,
yay,
good, because now we can create something new from that place, So it's a lot of awareness, but I think that book is a good
it's a great place to start.
Explanation.
And why I often say I'll take the placebo effect. That it works.
I know. Doctors downplay it all the time. And
they do. What? Hello. Maybe we need to be using that more. It's so great. There's a lot of cool stuff in there, and there are brain scans in there, really, to show you how your brain changes. Yes.
This is not just like me. Quantum blah blah blah. No, there's actual evidence.
Yes.
For sure.
So, okay, here's one. Okay. How do you visualize the happy ending to quiet the mind when you're afraid to hope and be disappointed? Oh, girl, you are speaking everyone's language.
Two things. One, you have to address first the being afraid of being disappointed and hoping. Another book I would recommend, if you're not familiar with her work, is Byron Katie, Loving What Is. The mindset work that I do with my private clients is heavily based on that. And it is a belief, meaning a belief is just a thought we think over and over again. It's not necessarily true. Most of the time it's not. But we keep believing it so it becomes a truth. But it is a belief. It is a limiting belief that you will be more disappointed if you allow yourself to go there and feel. We're taught that from a very early age.
Yes,
Don't
we
put all your
are.
eggs in one basket. Don't bet all your money on this horse, because then you could not have enough money. So the safety part of us goes, I can't fully hope because I will be destroyed.
I want to be a musician. Well, you better have a backup.
Right. And so it's done with good intention. It's meant to save us, but it's actually really detrimental from a manifesting perspective. Now, here's the thing. When you say, okay, I'm going to put all my chips on red 32, you have to be like, I'm feeling fucking great about red 32. Red 32 is it. I'm in it. I'm all about it. I'm okay if it's not, but yeah, I'm in it. Like, your energy has to be committed. If you're like, oh shit, all right, red 32, then you have that on the fence energy, and you're 3/4 over the fence, but your left leg is still hanging over the other side.
That's right.
That's going to get really fucking uncomfortable.
Yep.
So you have to first address this fear of being able to go there, because honestly, from a law of attraction, I don't know why I'm pointing at you. Honestly,
you better.
From a law of attraction perspective, if you don't go there, this will not happen.
Yep.
Law of attraction is like energy attracts like energy. If you cannot find a place where this is possible and the brain sees how it could be, your brain will not allow that outcome in from a quantum field perspective.
Yep.
So you have to go there. A way that I find helpful to, which is the first part of your question, to back the brain down a little bit, is the snowsuit exercise. So you visualize yourself wearing one of those really puffy, like 1980s ginormous snowsuits that you can barely move. And sometimes I have people visualize the words written that are scary, like hopeless, fear, not going to happen. Or you can just feel the weight of the snowsuit. And this is your story. This is your, it's been 5 years. I have PCOS. I have like all that heaviness, right? That's the snowsuit. And you're going to say, okay, I'm going to unzip this snowsuit and I'm going to step out of it for a second, and I can put it back on. So you're telling this to your brain. I can always put it back on. But for right now, without this snowsuit, without this story, here is what if I'm honest with myself, I just cannot wait to hang up her stocking at Christmas. I just can't wait. Like, I want to cry and I don't want to have a child right now.
Yeah.
You know, like, you can really make your
feel
body
it.
go,
You own
oh
it.
my God. You know, so it allows you to kind of pause your brain for a second. When your brain knows, I can put it right back on. I can get right back to my story about why I can't. But for this moment, oh God, I would love that. That gives you a minute of being in that energy, and it gets a little bit easier each time you do it. You stay there for a little bit longer.
That's what I was going to say, right? You extend it. So you don't go like, I'm going to do this, 5 hours a day.
No. Can't. You're not a match to it at this point.
Right. No. Right. And that, I think, is one of the other difficult things for fertility folks, is that this isn't like Western medicine. We're going to pump some meds into you and your ovaries are going to grow overnight. It's not like that. This is, practice. And you will notice, you'll feel it, that it's getting easier, that you're more aware of the subtleties around you, and that you're able to spend much more time in that playful space. That it's the remember when game, right? Yeah. Like, oh my gosh, you remember when we didn't have a stocking for her, and we thought about having, 2, and now we have 2, and it's just a minute or 2.
Yeah.
It's just a minute or 2. And, from another angle too, I just wanted to address, a lot of people feel like staying in that state of fear actually keeps them safer. And I want to address that because, I often hear that, Maria, but if I don't prepare for the worst, then I'm gonna, crumble when the shitstorm hits. And that's actually not true. There was a talk I heard of once where a girl, the speaker, was asked that question, and she asked everyone to get into a meditative state. So she put them in this meditative state. They had their eyes closed. And in the middle of this, she took a stack of books and threw them on the ground. And of course, everybody has this startle reaction. And she says, okay, who had a reaction? And they're all raising their hand. And she said, the reality is, even when you are chill, you will have an appropriate reaction to a hard thing.
Yep.
And if you are constantly in the mindset of hard shit's coming, hard shit's coming, hard shit's coming, I got to prepare for the worst. Oh my God. Your adrenals are screaming, oh my God, I can't possibly pop out more adrenaline for you. Yeah.
Right.
And then in effect, you render yourself less useful when a
Right.
hard thing does happen. So from that angle too, it's important to start doing this, even a minute a day. Just play.
Yeah.
What will this be like when we have our dream?
Yeah.
It's such a good time.
We're not meant to be in this state of fight or flight for as long as we are, because most of us, especially on this fertility journey, are in a low grade fight or flight all the time.
Yes.
And it, like, animals are like, fight, and then they're like, shake it off,
All right,
and they're done. But like you said, you become less effective the more you're in it, and you're just like hanging on. And the brain, here's the thing, the brain, again, I mean the fight or flight part of your brain, means well. It's trying to save you. It's trying to be like, listen, we're going to fall out of this tree. You're going to break your arm, but at least you won't break your neck. It's trying to give you warning.
It's doing its job.
So that you will survive, because that's its primary goal, is for you to survive. Yes. And so that's why we want to really start addressing the brain and being like, I get what you're trying to do here, but it's actually preventing us from this thing that we want. And so here's the thought that feels better. Let's go over here. When you invite the brain and you're not forcing it or like trying to arm wrestle it into being positive,
right,
it will come with you eventually. But it's an incremental process, and you just have to be okay with that. I mean, you don't have to do anything, but it would behoove you to become
Let's point.
Okay.
Yes, you do have to.
To become okay with it, because if we just gave up all our control, our brains would explode. Like,
yes,
we couldn't handle it. So we have to let go of little bits and consider little bits of positivity at a time and see, oh, okay, that was a little easier than I thought. That was a little easier than yesterday. We've got to be there for the long haul for our brain. It's trying its best.
It is
in a helpful way,
Right. Well, it's because, again, we circle back to trauma brain here. This is what happens when you experience the trauma that you have, is that your brain has now learned, and your body has memory for it. Your body remembers trauma. So now your body, even before your brain knows, your body's having a response to that traumatic trigger. And this is where your control actually comes in, is that you have choice. You're driving the bus, or you're steering the boat. You have choice what to do with that. So you can either, for those of you listening, if you've listened to my work before or not, this is really important. There's a great YouTube video on the story of the two wolves. It's a Cherokee story. I absolutely recommend checking this out. This is what we are talking about, where you feed the calm, the stillness, rather than the part of your brain that is like, freak out now. This is all bad. It's all going to happen. Nothing's going to work out. And think about all these scenarios that you have to prepare for. And you better hunker down. When your brain does that, and it will, you get to choose. What do I do with that? Am I going to feed that part of my brain, or am I going to feed the part of my brain that says, otherwise, you're safe right now? And it doesn't have to be the part of your brain that says, you're perfect and amazing and everything's going to work out. It doesn't have to be that. Right. It can be, I am safe right now because I am breathing. I am not being attacked. I can lay on the ground and feel the ground. A lot of grounding exercises that you can do. But the point is to really address it. You're not running away from it. You're addressing it. And you are then letting that part of your brain, the trauma brain, take a rest. And you're literally telling it, hey buddy, I'm good. Take a break, man. I'm going to be over here drinking my tea and reading my book, or going for a run, or whatever it is that you do to stay present.
And that's a better way to spend your energy than, a lot of my clients get on themselves for like, oh, like I should be able to figure this out. I should be being more positive. I should be able to bypass my brain. And we like beat ourselves up for not being able to do it. And we're feeding that insecurity. So not only are we upset with where we are, but we're also upset with ourselves that we can't get ourselves out of it. So
Yes.
it's like another layer of it, you know? So by taking a step back and being present and what is going right now, why am I okay right now? It at least neutralizes the playing field so that something else can happen. Something else good can happen, you know?
Yes, that possibility starts like, ooh, looming in front of you. And you're like, yes, that one.
Yeah.
And then the universe goes, okay. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know how much time you have. Andrea, do you have time to take another question or?
Yeah.
There you are.
Do we have another question there, or I can pull up one from?
Yeah. Yeah, no, if you have a question there, because I don't see any in the chat here.
Okay.
Jessica, I see you. Stop shitting on yourself. Yes.
Stop shitting on yourself. Is that what you said?
Yeah, there's a comment. That's a chapter in my book, man. That is a chapter. It's a huge chapter in my book, and on the course that matches. You have to stop shitting on yourself. Yep.
What technique do you recommend to train the mind to rule over the emotions and other things under any situation? Also, how do you work on changing your subconscious limiting beliefs?
Yeah, I think we addressed some of that.
Let's see.
I don't know. It's hard because I think that emotions are beautiful things. I don't know that we need to rule over them. I think they're excellent.
You need to feel them, honestly, more than and stop trying to stop them, actually.
Yeah, I think they're great guides. If you can actually think of feelings as just guides, they're not good or bad. They're just they're just guides. Oh my God, this so happened yesterday. And listen, guys, I have a dog here that is whining, so I'm just going to hold him. All right. This just happened last night. Now, this is in your future. Imagine this when you have your children. Okay, this is in your future. Yesterday, I was in the family room downstairs, and I'm like irritated because I'm having to pick shit up again for the billionth time. And my oldest son goes, "You need a bath." You start feeling those feelings. Like I was really irritated and annoyed, and he caught it before I did. Eventually what happens is that you go, oh, I need a bath. And I said to him, buddy, I need a hug. That'll help me right now. And so okay, mommy, I'll give you a hug. So he gave me a hug and everything was fine. But the emotions are just guides, when I'm really irritated, oh, I need a hug right now.
A good way to if you're not used to feeling the uncomfortable emotions is to just set your alarm on your phone for 10 minutes and say to, whatever your higher power is, I set my guides at the four corners of the room and I'm like, I'm going to fully feel this thing right now.
Yes. Oh, I love this exercise.
And I'm going to cry and scream and it's not fair and all of that shit. And then when the 10 minutes is up, I'm going to go take a shower or drink some water or whatever. But 10 minutes is palatable to the brain. Where the brain's not like, because the reason we don't want to feel it is we're certain we'll go over the edge and never come back. And so when you have whatever your higher power is represented at the four corners of the room where you feel supported and you say, these are the parameters. If I fully feel this shuts off after 10 minutes. Then the brain will be more willing to go there.
That's you steering the bus or the boat.
Right.
That's you. Yes. Right. I think that's the other thing that's fearful for people is that they do fear completely losing their shit and not recovering ever. And that is just not going to happen. It is not going to happen.
Yeah.
And the only way to know that that's not going to happen is to actually do that practice. I love that. I love it.
Yeah,
it's
and it's not fun. So definitely do something cleansing afterwards.
Oh,
a glass of water, go for a run, go for a shower, whatever. But somebody else just said, how can I work to free up my energies on my own? How can I protect my own energy?
Oh, yeah. Good question.
Yeah.
Do you want to tackle that one or?
Um, some things I find helpful protecting your own energy. Sometimes it's, if our, in our work environment or our spouse even, or family or whatever, if we are, especially if we lean more toward the empathic end of things where we're picking up on other
Yes.
people's energies, it can feel like a drain. And we want to really be careful about using the word protect. I need to
Oh.
protect myself because from a law of attraction perspective, if I need to protect myself, this thing
Yes.
can hurt me.
Yes.
So we want to just sort of reframe that a little bit, and we can set boundaries. You can set up your electric fence around you and set the boundaries. And if somebody tries to crawl over the fence and they get electrocuted, that's not your problem. But you don't want to think of it as I've got to keep them out. It's more like, this is what's okay for me.
Yes.
So sometimes I'll have people visualize like a translucent, like a white or gold dome around them, and with a little hole in the top, that's whatever's for my highest good comes in. So that whether that's guides, God, whatever your deal is, whatever's for my highest good comes in, whatever's not stays out. So
Love
anything
it.
else bounces off. Using a piece of black tourmaline, which is super grounding, really gets you out of your head, but it's also good for negativity. Having one of those on your desk at work, or if you're going into a doctor's appointment and the doctor doesn't have the best bedside manner, switch the doctor. But if you can't
There's
now,
that.
have, stick it in your bra, have it in your hand, set the intention that I can observe the situation without absorbing it.
Yes.
So it's again another way to drive the bus where you're saying, I'm going to do this, but I'm also not going to absorb or be knocked off track by somebody else.
Yes. There was something I heard too that I found quite useful as an empath and an introvert. I used to, protect myself or need to protect myself from others' stuff, but I was pulling in my energy and getting smaller. But actually what's way more helpful is to expand. And this feels a little bit odd at times, but you'll see that the larger that you put your energy out there, the less people are able to get closer to you. Because you have this energetic field around you, but you could still see through it and connect to other people. But you're not then taking on other people's stuff. So really envisioning a big energy field all around you, creating this cushion that you're still loving and compassionate towards other people, but you're not receiving all of their shit into your body and into yourself.
It's really important, especially in terms of any appointments that you have, because like we talked about before, so much of it feels like everybody else thinks I can't do it. And the doctors are very hooked on their statistics and what's normal for your age and whatever, and you don't want to go in absorbing that, because if we think, oh well, this IVF isn't going to work, guess what, it's not going to. So we want to go in as empowered as possible and be like, I can hear what this person is saying, but I don't have to take that on. I don't have to take their idea of what my capability is.
Right.
On,
Right. Yeah. This is all good stuff. How much time do you have, my friend?
Other than my battery draining, I'm okay. If I go away, it's because my battery has died. But if anybody has any other questions, type them now or forever hold your peace.
Yes.
I'll see if there's any other one here.
Yes. Any other questions? Otherwise, this will be available to view later, provided that I'm tech savvy enough to figure out how to do that shit. Because sometimes, I will attempt to figure that out.
It's a miracle that we're here, because we're both not.
I know. But miracles happen, man. They do. They happen. So, so here we are. Like, hello, this.
Yes.
Come on.
That's amazing.
Like, you can't.
Like, so specific too.
It was very specific.
Yeah.
Extreme. Like, who? What?
The exact thing I was asking for.
The precise thing that I was asking for.
That's the thing too. Like when you are manifesting something, like you weren't attached to, I need to find a book on this and I need to find it on my way home.
Right.
You aren't like, it needs to look like this. And that's what really, as type A'ers, we have to back off of a little bit.
We do.
It needs to look like IVF. It needs to happen naturally. No, it doesn't.
That's
as
right.
long as they are there crawling on the floor in front of you, who the fuck cares
That's right.
how they got there?
That's right.
Like,
Seriously.
it really doesn't matter. So,
and yes, manifesting is more a feeling than visualizing. To answer your question there, it's much, the visualization, the pictures in your mind do not matter nearly as much as how it feels.
Visualization can be a tool.
They're a great
to
tool.
help you feel, but it's not the thing enough. It's just like affirmations are not enough.
That's right.
You know, you can do affirmations till the cows come home. It's, unless you're feeling that in your bones, it's not going to do anything. You know, like when I have people feel into the "it's going to be awesome when" list, if you're like it's not really doing anything. But if you're like, it is going to be awesome when I walk back into the bathroom and holy shit, it's positive.
Yeah.
Oh my God. What do I do? Do I fall on the floor? Do I yell for him? Like, oh my God, like feel it and allow yourself to go there. You have to energetically, if this is going to work, even for that moment, even if you're just saying it's a daydream. And what I find helpful to unarm wrestle the brain is to say, yeah, brain, no, I get that it's difficult. I get it. But if it were easy, how would that feel? Or if I could do it, how would that feel? Because then we're at least shutting the brain up for a second enough and then actually feeling it. And then we bypass the brain because law of attraction wise, we felt the thing that we want. So we're a match to it, you know?
Yes.
So be patient with yourselves. This is a rewiring. It is a work in progress. Nobody is perfect at it right away. That's hard for the type A'ers of us all.
I know.
Good at being good at stuff right away.
Damn it.
You're not going to be. Like, accept it, wallow in the muck for a little bit, but know that you can do this. You just got to make a couple of tweaks. Be open to receiving it however it wants to show up, but know that it can show up. That's what your work is. You have to know that you can do this. The universe will build the how, when, and where around your what. Be really clear about your what.
Yes. And knowing here, not here.
Exactly.
That's where you want to know, right?
Yeah.
We had a few other questions come in, so maybe can we address those really quick and then we'll say goodbye, but we need to do another one because damn, it's fun hanging out with you.
Yes.
So what if you feel it will happen a certain way, but everyone around keeps suggesting other ways? You know what I want to say?
Please.
Fuck 'em. We mentioned this earlier. I don't know if you were on earlier there, CMAR 1124. That it's hard, even when, especially when professionals are saying, no, it needs to be, and you have a 1% chance or less than a 1% chance. It's very difficult. All of this, there's nothing easy about this. It's simple. Not easy. So just as we've been talking about, is that you keep holding on to what feels right to you and you keep living as if that thing is right for you because it feels right for you, and then watch it happen your way. Watch it.
And as long as you're in, I feel this, not
feel it.
I need it to happen naturally. That's not going to get you anywhere.
Right.
But I feel it in my bones that I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
Go with that. You're right.
Yes.
Nobody is going to know you better than you. You know,
that's nobody does. That's right.
As long as you're not in urgency or need about it, but I feel this. I feel it in my bones.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing else matters. Literally nothing else. I mean, you need the sperm, obviously, but other than that,
there's that.
Nothing else matters.
Yeah, and actually hearing others' opinions is just fine. You know, this is why I like to use these as opportunities to try it on for size. Yeah. What does that feel like to me? What does that feel like? Nope, that doesn't feel right. Nope, that doesn't. Ooh, that kind of feels right. Let me match it up, compare it to my own thing. No, mine feels a little bit better. So there are opportunities. They're all opportunities to try them on for size. So have a go. Another question. I think I have an issue with implantation. What's a good way for me to manifest during the 2-week wait? Whoa, that 2-week wait.
Dun, dun, dun.
I know, right? We need some scary music in the background here. Yeah. Well, manifestation, I think it needs to be all the time. you're living as if your miracle has already happened, that it's here. And this is what ends up happening too. When your miracle does happen, it feels like, well, of course that happened, because I was living like that happened the whole time. So when you are in the 2-week wait, this is where it's important for you to really pay attention to your trauma brain saying, freak out now, and be gentle and compassionate. Like Andrea was saying earlier, like that toddler having a nightmare. You wouldn't say, get the freak out of here, stop screaming, stop having nightmares. No, you say, oh, buddy, I'm so sorry. This is really hard right now. And of course you're freaking out. This is scary. So what we're going to do is put that fear over there to hang out while we comfort. I'm going to comfort you. And we're just going to hang out. Like my son saying, you need a bath.
Yeah.
You need to chill out with your wine and a bath. You know, you do what it takes to settle and re-engage your parasympathetic nervous system and act as if you're through the 2-week wait and you have the result that you want, and feel what that would feel like. Really feel it.
And if you're having a hard time getting there and getting out of your own way, it's really important that you address to your brain, the fight or flight part of you, why you're safe if it's not. And a lot of people are worried about that from a law of attraction perspective. But if I think that it's not, then it won't happen. No, this is like neutralizing and making your brain understand why you will not die if it's not. Because fight or flight is life or death.
Yes, it is.
And it's like, oh my God, it's gotta be. But if you're like, you know what? I will be okay. He won't leave me. I won't die. Like, cover your bases. Here's why I'm okay. But you know what? And then once you neutralize that, then here's why it could be. After I've set that directed the brain, here's why it could be. You know, I've been working on myself. I've released some beliefs. I did a clearing. I did, I feel better when I meditate. What are the reasons why it could be different?
Yes.
And then let it go. Put it out to the brain, give your brain reasons, and then let it go and breathe. And if you think about it too, specifically implantation wise, if there is an issue implanting, think about that from, the sacral chakra is creativity, relationships, and children. So if there is an implantation issue, where are we still having some fear? Where are we still having some aversions? Because it's not that whatever the physical issue is, for me, it's always that there's an emotional thing. It's not that anybody has a physical issue with anything. It's what's the emotional thing? What feels not safe? What's like, oh, never mind, So addressing those fears it's so important, and then pivoting. But you can't just pivot to the positive, which is what most people do.
Yes.
Here's the thought, positive. You have to address the fears and sit with it and be like, why do I feel this way? What am I scared of?
I just did a podcast called Don't Just Do Something, Stand There. You need to really pause, give yourself some pause, and hug that part of your brain that's freaking out for good reason. Absolutely good reason.
Yeah.
And then offer alternatives when that part of the brain has quieted. I love that. Yeah.
And then you can add visualization if you want after that, where you see whatever you think this embryo looks like burrowing into the wall, or you see if you visualize, if you know that you're going to have, if you feel that you're going to have a boy, let's say, and you see him just with a blanket, with a flashlight, with a book in your uterus, just hunkered down in there, I'm staying in there. Any visual that resonates is great, and feel that. But feel it. Don't just visualize it like we were talking about before.
That's right.
You got to feel it.
Yeah, feeling it. You've got to feel it. There's someone on right now that sent me a copy of our picture of her sonogram, right? Oh my God, I felt it. The tearing up and oh, what it's like to see that little bean grow. It's amazing. You feel it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so last question, guys, and then I'm sorry we'll have to go, but we will probably plan something in the future, right? Okay, with regards to knowing what the right next step is, how do you differentiate between suggestions coming from your ego versus your intuition? Oh, yeah. Good freaking question. I love this. So, all right, we did address this earlier on when we talked about intuition briefly. So I'll just restate it very simply. Your intuition comes from love, and your ego comes from fear. Your intuition is an instant, easy, non-complicated knowing, and your ego is, yeah, but what if this and what if that, and let me do all the calculations, and it's desperate and it's urgent, yep, and it's let me color code and check off all the boxes, and but what if they say this, and what if the doctor says, it's this long drawn out process where your intuition is boom, that,
Yeah.
and it's an easy knowing.
Yep.
I don't know if you want to, add
Yeah, no, I mean
else to that.
that pretty much sums it up. But I think it's anything that has a limiter on it, like especially, most of my clients are, members of a bunch of different Facebook groups and summit lists and classes and different practitioners, and like, oh, this class is going to be going on, next week, and like, I don't know if I can afford it, but maybe I should, but so like, sit with, I talk about taking intuitive inventory of everything that you're doing fertility wise. So if you sit with, for example, there's a class you're thinking about taking. So you put your hand on your heart, your solar plexus, wherever you feel drawn to put it. Ask your body, how does this feel for us? How does this feel in my body? And breathe. Do not attempt to look for an answer. Breathe. And notice, do you feel warm and buzzy? Do you feel excited? Do you feel like you've just been shrink wrapped and contracted? Your body will tell you if this is a good thing for you or not. This will not, because this will forever want to have a to-do list to check off. So if you're urgent about a decision, it's a no, frankly. If you're like, I can't, I'm not sure if I can afford this. I don't know if I can make this happen. I just feel this. I feel this connection with this person or this, particular thing. I'm going to do it. Like, that's then a yes.
Yes.
Intuition is never urgent. So
nope.
Also too, the difference, not just the urgency, but if I feel like, so there's a quote, I think we've talked about this before. I forget who it's by, but it's ego says, when everything falls into place, I will find peace. Spirit says, when I find peace, everything falls into place.
Ah, yes.
So we think when I get the thing, then I'll be okay. But what I'm telling the universe then is I'm not okay because I don't have the thing. So I'm not okay. So I'm not okay. So we don't want to, whatever it is you're thinking about doing next, it can't be from this thing will fix me and get me my stuff, because that's attachment. If it feels good for me and lights me up to do this, fine. But if I'm doing it to get my stuff, you just want to watch the subtlety of that.
You do. You do. Andrea, I think that's a great place to end.
Yeah.
What a beautiful quote. I don't think we have talked about that because that's like ping. I'm loving that.
Yeah, it really highlights the subtleties of law of attraction that a lot of people miss. We focus on the thing all the time, we'll get the thing. Like, nope.
No, you need to experience the peace of having that thing now.
Why am I okay in this moment right now so that I can expand into something else?
Yes. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey
great
guys.
Talking to you.
Likewise. Again. And I hope there's an again and again.
Yes.
We just have a good time.
We'll
and thanks for folks. Oh yeah, we're always coming up with something. And thanks for folks who have shown up here. And this, I am crossing fingers that this will be available also for later, to view later. So look for that. Look for the whole video if you showed up a little late or couldn't show up at all. Thanks, Andrea.
Right,
we did it. We did the tech. Yay.
We did it. Yay. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.